This is the main Bedford Hill Road. This is part of our 100 by 100 claim. Runs all the way down there. Accommodation unit, single bedroom, nicely fitted out in the background there, in the corner of the 100 by 100. All of this. Wash plant, hoist, etc. in amongst all of that. Now a closer view of the wash plant there, fitting on the back of an old truck on the 100 by 100. In the foreground you'll see a shaft that's been covered over with tin, but still open. Another open shaft with the automatic hoist, one directly behind that as well. Another view, one of the shafts with an automatic hoist. Wash plant in the distance. Little tool shed. Another automatic hoist. Here we are at the bottom. These are some of the old workings on the claim. Some of this rich ground on Bedford's Hill has been worked now for more than 100 years. So when you're driving a new shaft or a new tunnel, you can often bump into or run through the old workings from the past. And in those days, they just took out the absolute bare minimum of wash material, because it was all done by hand, pick, shovel, bucket, wind it up on a hand-powered windlass all the way the 50 feet to the surface. Today it's all electric, mechanical, so you can afford to open up much larger areas today. You're using machinery not only for the mining but also to shift all of the material to the surface. Looking back from the old workings where I'm lying towards the newer workings, much higher roof, you can see the pit prop there, the little light where Alan is looking to see where the wash layer actually is in the side of the new workings. Okay, you'll see Alan there following the wash layer where it sits on top of a decomposed granite layer, and then the wash lies above that.
One of the things is where we're mining up here on Bedford's Hill, it's strictly a hand mining claim. So everything down here has to be done, the actual mining has to be done by hand, formally with the old miner's pick. Originally with the light of a candle, and then with torches, and now of course with electric light. What we're trying to do is follow the wash, and the wash is like an old river gravel with stones in it. We call them billy boulders. The more of them and the larger they are, the better chance of finding more sapphires down here in the wash. Okay, in more modern times, we're then allowed to use electric or pneumatic jackhammers, but still hand-held.
the Sapphire wash here, old river gravel, stones, sand, and hopefully sapphires, all sitting on a decomposed granite, which we call the bottom. When we get down to that, that's as far as we go. Decomposed granite, the bottom. You wash above that. Hopefully, that's where the sapphires are. I was a youngster, as on the farm, my dad had what we called a gravel fork. Fork with many tongs. Ideal here for sifting all out the rocks. So we can do that and then discard that. Because we don't need to put them through the wash plant. The little bogger here runs on electric cable, hydraulic motors, and that goes to where you're actually working. It can then pick up the wash into the body of the bogger, bring it back here to the central point. It will then back up, unload into the automatic hoist bucket, and when that's full, then you send the automatic hoist up to the surface. That will then go to the surface over the top of the automatic dump into whatever receptacle you've got up there, front end loader bucket example, then it will bring itself back down for the next load. And the wash goes to the surface, another automatic dump hoist. Until we get the wash plant up and operating, I'm doing a little bit of test washing using a Willoughby. This is a Willoughby setup. Tub of water, a round sieve with your sapphire gravel contained therein, long handle, and then by gently shaking it up and down, you get rid of the dirt, left with a clean stone, and hopefully some sapphires as well. Hand mining in the extreme. Today could be a big day for us out here on our mining claims. Yesterday we did a dry run with the wash plant just to make sure all the components work. The up and over, the trommel, the pulsator, the whole lot, the little water pump. Today we're going to do a actual load of wash through to give it a proper test. You can see the shaft there with the load of wash that we loaded yesterday afternoon at the bottom of the shaft. We'll bring that up and over the frame there into the storage bin that has a small conveyor underneath, feeds into the trommel. Very difficult to see in this light at the moment. That will separate the sand and the big rocks from the material carrying the sapphires, and then that will then go through the pulsator, which is on the other side of the equipment. You can see the trommel silhouetted against the sky there. The material then comes down into the pulsator, separates the heavies. The light material will just wash off the top, the heavies will settle in the bottom of the jig, and the water and the very fine sand mud will then exit down into these holding tanks. We recirculate the water, goes into one, settles into the second one, settles into the third one, then recirculates back into the plant. Okay, here we go, switching on the conveyor belt. That will feed the wash from the storage bin to the trommel. Okay, the water pump to supply the water to the wash plant. Now the trommel rotating there. And finally will be the pulsator itself. The wash coming up from the shaft, the up and over and into the wash plant. The little conveyor belt taking the material from the bottom of the bin towards the pulsator, towards the trommel. It will pause there and then slowly come back down for another load. You will notice the sand and all the fines coming down one chute. And the oversized rattling its way down this other chute. The small mesh here separates the sand and the very fine material. This medium-sized mesh is then for the material that contains the sapphires, feeds down into the pulsator. There is a diaphragm at each end of the pulsator box, and that causes a pulse in the water from underneath through the fine mesh. The current washes the material from left to right. The heavy material sinks to the bottom, and the light material just passes over the top and goes away as waste product down this chute to a dewatering plant. Okay, this is what the pulsator will look like after you've turned everything off, drained all the water out. Now we look for any sapphires that might be here. If the jig is running properly, you will maybe get some in the first cell, second one more likely, an occasional one in the third, and there should be none at all in these last cells if the plant is running properly. If you find sapphires down here, then you know you've got a problem. You've got to change your pulse rate, your flow rate, etc., your feed rate of rough material. If I agitated the wash properly in the little sieve, flipped it upside down, so any sapphires should be on the surface or close to the surface. There we go, there's one. It's the little stone that was sitting on top of the clean out. Little tip of a sapphire crystal. You can see some of the crystal faces, little termination. It was working. That's the result from about 20, equivalent about maybe half a cubic yard of sapphire wash sent up and put through the little wash plant. That crystal is beautiful blue on table with a blue cross table. Weighs about 5 carats or thereabouts.